great to hear from Houseful, and great that you come on this Leicester Summit. Can you just tell us what you get out of coming into a tour like this?
I think with the study tours, you get insight into buildings when they're living and breathing life buildings. So I think it's really nice to see how they choose a building. It's interesting how your initial teams work inside. So I think it's that insight that you just don't get unless you do it.
Yeah, and you get lots of learning out of it. Things that you wouldn't necessarily see just by talking to an operator generally.
Absolutely. So things like stabilisation of a building, things like understanding how amenity space is used. It's interesting that cats cause more damage than dogs. I think that's stuff that doesn't crop up in conversation, but when you're in the buildings and you're having these conversations, you just find those kind of things.
Will you come back to another one?
100%.
Oh, thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm here with Claire Johnson from Centric, and really big supporters of the Association of Rental Living. So Claire, what are you finding, how are you finding the tour? What are you getting out of it?
Yeah, it's really interesting actually to come to Leicester today to have a look at the various BTR schemes that are in operation here. We actually operate a scheme, the Saxon, so it's great to see ultimately what our customers are seeing when they're looking for a rental living product. So that's one of the things that I'm definitely gauging from today is what rental living opportunities there are available for people in the area. But also it's great to see what my colleagues are doing across the BTR sector and how they're engaging with their customers and what they're bringing to life in terms of the environments that they're creating. So that's been a really great opportunity for me to experience that.
You learned anything you didn't know before?
Yeah, I think I have actually, because from my perspective, I have a perception of what other BTR operators are doing and what other BTR living environments are like. So actually coming into them, there's been a couple of times where I've had a bit of a wow factor and gone, this is brilliant, this is really interesting. And from my perspective, a lot of what I do is about sort of design for management and how that plays into that living environment. So to come here today and see what works and actually what doesn't work, but ultimately there's been a quite heavy emphasis on wow, this is fantastic. Yeah, it's been really good.
That's great. I'm glad you enjoyed the study tour. And,
thank you.
The afternoon to come.
Definitely, brilliant.
All right,
Thank you.
Mate. So I'm here with Joe Wilson from Long Harbour. He's done a great job today presenting Walker and giving the various insights, especially you've also been a part of the tour today. So what have you learned from today?
I mean, today's been awesome. I think what's been really interesting is seeing all of the different products across Leicester and understanding how they sit in the context of one another. I mean, we have the Walkham, which is kind of very high amenity, high spec, and it was awesome going to other assets which are more of an active asset management strategy, like for example the John Lewis asset, where we could see them refurbishing the units as we went along, and it was just fascinating to see that strategy in play.
Yeah.
That's great. And so, would you come on another tour?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Even if Long Harbour isn't represented.
Absolutely, yeah.
You say about learning it, and have you seen how people are doing things differently as well?
Yeah, it's a deployment of different strategies. Like I said, I thought that the one we saw from John Lewis was really fascinating. It's very different to what we do, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, it's just different. And I think kind of learning and exchanging those strategies in the industry was really insightful, and it was great to see it take place.
Great. Well, thank you for your time.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Joe.
Nice one. Excellent. Are you recording?
I'll start recording now. So yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for coming to the study tour again today. No, I know you love a study tour, but what have you learned about Leicester as well?
Well, I am a study tour veteran, so I think this is coming up to be my 8th. Leicester's just amazing. First of all, I've actually never been here, so that was quite embarrassing, but I'm glad I finally got here. Learned a lot of things, obviously, about Leicester itself. They found a king in a car park, so that's one thing. But in terms of build to rent, I think it's absolutely incredible. We saw some really interesting sites. They were at different mobilization points. Some were going through refurbishment, and some were just new, coming up to their renewal period here. I think in terms of build to rent branding, it's clear now more than ever some of the kind of personal business choices in terms of making your spaces more dynamic, more attractive to renters. And also, I think it's quite nice to see more of the focus be on the residents rather than this amenity arms race. There's been a slowing down. I mean, we did get to see a pool today, which was amazing. I would never turn down a pool, but what I would say is it's been really interesting to see the resources going into that resident experience, making sure that they're comfortable, making sure that you're mindful of them when going through a refurbishment. And I think what's been quite interesting is there are different parts in the city. So seeing the offering not just be city focused has been actually quite refreshing as well. But obviously we've ended here right in the centre, so I think I might do a bit of exploring.
No more questions.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Joanne.
Yeah,
Answered your question.
Q&A, and I think really what is a way of summarising what we've seen today. And I've got Joe and Claire, who I know you've seen during the day, and really going to ask a few questions, get a bit of conversation, not too long, I promise, because there is lots of food and drink to consume before we leave. But I just wanted to say thank you, both of you, for doing this, but also your contributions during the day. And I suppose a bit of insight we've asked to you, Joe, if you just could recap what the attractions of Leicester were to Long Harbour and as a city to actually come to the build to rent.
Yeah, of course. So I kind of mentioned this earlier. We'll go over it again, and I'll try and go into a little bit more detail maybe this time. So when we're looking at places to buy, and we basically did a macro analysis of 64 different urban regions in the UK, and there's multiple things that went into that consideration. So it was basically a weighted score. It was things like transport links, employment opportunities. It was things like the BTR pipeline that had been delivered, that was in construction and was in planning. So we looked at all of these different metrics, and then we ranked all of these different urban areas, and Leicester came out quite high. It was 11th. So then we decided to do a little bit more of a deep dive into it, and we kind of asked ourselves, is this a place we want to invest in, and what's good about Leicester? And it turns out there's a lot which is really good about Leicester.